What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in once again. It's not often that I get the opportunity to ride a brand new track for the very first time. You guys know I do kind of the bulk of my training at my local like 3 or 4 spots, and they switch it up every now and then, switch a section here and there, but very rarely do they switch the entire layout. And as you guys know, at the Nationals, you get one singular lap before qualifying practice to learn the entire track, and then you are going wide open as fast as you can go, fighting for your spot to make it in the moto. So it's something that is very difficult to learn. So anytime I do go to a brand new track, I really take advantage of that. I treat it just like a pro national qualifier one, just trying to learn the track as fast as possible and then going as fast as I absolutely can, because you gotta practice how you race, right? So luckily for me, we're out here at Moto Extreme, which is one of my local tracks, but they did completely reverse the layout. And not only did they reverse it, but they also connected it up in different ways that does not match how it was when it went forward. I haven't been here since they did that, so this is completely new to me. New jumps, new direction, and a new opportunity to try and learn a track. And I figure I'll take you guys along with me so you can see and hear my thoughts as I'm learning a brand new track. And yeah, just enjoy the process with me. Of course, we'll be filming the entire thing on an Insta360 camera, but for the very first time, we are gonna be running the new Insta360 Go Ultra. At first glance, it may look just like a regular action camera, but what's sick is you can pop this bad boy out of the case and it ends up being absolutely tiny. It's bite-sized, literally. It's small, but it's mighty, and hopefully it's gonna get us some awesome footage out here. So that does it for the intro. Let's get out there and start sending, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoy. All right, a couple things I want to point out to you guys on this sight lap. Number one, obviously, I bring the speed way down from my top speed, but what you guys may notice is I'm not coming down to a complete idle. I'm still trying to carry a bit of momentum through these corners just so that I get a realistic expectation of where my momentum is gonna carry me and the bike. I find that if I take way too slow of a sight lap, I'm able to pivot too hard in the corners, and I'm taking these very unrealistic lines that there's no way I'm going to be able to do when I'm actually hammering. So I'm keeping the top speed very low, but I'm trying to keep the lowest speed up a little bit just to carry that momentum and feel how it's actually going to feel when I'm ripping. It also gets the body warmed up just a little bit more. Speaking of which, second thing you may notice, I'm standing up as tall as I can, as often as I can. As I just alluded to, it warms the body up, warms up the legs, the upper body, everything, because you have to work those muscles more when you're standing. But more importantly, it just gives you a better bird's eye view and a perspective to look further down the track so you can see what's coming and start to make those mental notes in your brain so that when you're on your flying lap, even if you're sitting through the section, you kind of have a mental picture of what's coming up ahead. When it comes to remembering the jumps, I make a decision very early on how dangerous the jump is and whether it poses a risk to me, specifically a risk if I over jump it. If you're hitting a jump for the first time, it's usually better to go a little long than a little short. So by default, I just hit stuff with a little bit more speed than I think that I need to. And I do almost like a little soak up scrub type deal to keep my trajectory low. It's better to go a little low and long rather than high and short. And in those cases where there's no danger in over jumping a jump, I completely forget about those jumps and put them right out of my brain. It's too hard to remember everything. So the only jumps that I'm actually remembering are the ones where there is a danger in over jumping, such as this downhill triple where there's a corner right after it. You definitely don't want to overshoot this one. Especially if you're going to try and make that inside rut, you probably want to come up even a little bit short. So I'm making a mental note of this downhill triple, and then I'm also making a note of this turning double over here. Number one, because it wouldn't be fun to come up short on this one, but also because I'm trying to remember and make a mental note to land as far left as I can. I'm even picking out this little grass tuft on the landing, because the further left that I can land, the better it's going to set me up for the next right-hand sweeping roller. So those are the only 2 jumps that I'm actually remembering. Everything else, I know I can just hit a little quick and everything will turn out fine. Just as importantly as remembering the layout is figuring out how the dirt feels under your tires and how your bike is going to be reacting to the dirt. So you guys may also notice that I'm kind of doing some little jib jabs over the little braking bumps, giving it little clutch pops in the corner, just trying to gauge the traction and trying to feel out how the suspension is feeling on that certain day and reacting to the braking bumps and stuff. You don't want to take the smoothest lines possible on your parade lap and then not know how your bike is going to react when you go out on your flyer. So I'm aiming for the bumps, kind of doing some little Jet Lawrence hop and skips. And then finally, when we do hammer it, you're going to notice I'm taking a bunch of different lines, just trying to figure out what's the fastest. So let's get the laps rolling here, and I'll make some comments here and there as I see fit.